Hello, I'm Lee Hatcher, HammondCare's Director of Public Affairs at Hammondville, continuing the Profile series, a series of conversations and some great stories of people with decades of service in our organisation. John Nadjarian is a remarkable individual doing a remarkable job. He's Special Care Program Manager at Southwood. John, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Can I ask you first to describe the people you serve at HammondCare?
Look, luckily I look after people who are, have a great disturbance of behaviour related to dementia. They're not glamorous, they're sort of not easy, they're difficult, and they're sort of, no one wants to care for them.
Why do you say you're lucky?
Because they're so impaired that they lack so much that anything you can do for them is a real positive. The smallest thing you can do for them, make them look comfortable, brush their hair, or, if necessary, if they're that agitated, leave them alone and don't pester them and force them to be my idea of tidy. So anything you can do for the person makes a difference in their life, however long that lasts, I don't know. But look after those people that other people find hard to look after.
You actually stumbled your description into nursing because you wanted to be a policeman.
Well, I didn't know what else to do, so I thought being a copper might be a good idea. But I was too old to be a cadet and too young to join the police force. So they said, you've got to hang around for a while. So one of my mates, I knew he worked, and I said, you got any work? And he said, yeah, why don't you come to the hospital and work? I said, oh, what do you do? He said, I'm a nurse. I said, don't be stupid. I said, nurses are female. And he said, no, I'm a nurse. I said, a bit odd, you know. So anyhow, I went and worked sort of in the backboards of a hospital, just washing people and things, and you know, it's a bit icky initially, but after a while, I mean, you washing people, I found that I was actually washing people, personalities, people. It wasn't a task. You're actually interacting with people, and after a while, I sort of didn't mind it, and then after a while, I quite enjoyed it, and then after a while, as I became old enough to be a policeman, and the hospital was offering me qualifications and courses and things, and I thought, well, why don't I do that? Because in the old days, it was seniority. This is 43 years ago. You only got promoted on seniority, and I sort of looked at the police force and thought, oh dear, you know, and then looked at the nursing profession where I was, and most of the people were really old, within a couple of years of retirement, and I was still young, and I thought, well, might be an opportunity here for me.
So when the job of Assistant Director of Nursing came up at Sinclair at HammondCare, you were the only applicant.
Yeah, apparently so.
No one else wanted it.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, well, why would you? Look, you're looking after 72 people. They all have dementia. They've all got a disturbance of behaviour. They're all wandering around doing things. A lot of people that came there would say, why would you want to do that? And you sort of think, well, what a great opportunity. Look at all the things you could do. You know, you can care for people, you can try and get a bit of lightheartedness in their life, a bit of joy, a bit of comfort, and that sort of thing. So,
but for the first few weeks, it was pretty terrifying for you.
For the first 6 weeks, I sat behind my desk, I wouldn't move. I was just terrified. I was looking at all these strange people doing strange things. But after a while, when you look at them, they're not actually trying to hurt you. They're lost. They're trying to find some purpose, some meaning. They're wandering, they're looking. And so after a period of time, I sort of lost that fear and looked through the behaviour and saw the person struggling. What am I doing? Where am I going? And so if you went up and befriended them, they were sort of responsive.
So if I'd asked what changed, it was probably you.
It was me, yeah. Well, I sort of lost the fear. No, look, I was scared. You know, psycho and all the rest of it, you're just a bit scared. But once you looked through the behaviour, you actually saw a poor little old person who was lost or you know, needed some direction or care or help or something, you know, a bit of humanity, you know, a little bit of, hey, how you going, you know, and a bit of a handshake, put your arm around the little old ladies and all the rest of it. And that small action by me had a profound difference in that person.
In the vast majority of jobs in this arena of health, more broadly than your expertise, there's a lot more feedback to you. There's a lot more gratitude and expressions of thankfulness, which I guess you probably don't get in your job.
No, I don't get the residents falling over themselves, telling me how nice I am and their relatives and all the rest of it. Because when you're in the hospital system, the nurse is very powerful. I mean, the doctor's even more powerful. The nurse is very powerful. You know all the technology, you know the words, there's all sorts of things that go in all sorts of parts of people's bodies and all the rest of it, and that person's scared, and so you will befriend the nurse because you're fearful. And I've worked in a hospital for 23 years. People are scared. They're not sure what's going to happen. Is it cancer? Is it it's all spooky. So you need a friend, and but you sort of ingratiate yourself to them. When you come to dementia, aged care, psychiatry, that sort of thing, that person doesn't know who you are, so you have no rank, no status. The only way you're going to get anywhere is actually by being a person to that person, so that you need to develop a relationship. So do you get a lot of thanks? No, I don't do the job for thanks. But I see that the small things that I do make a profound difference in that person. So if I was in it for thanks, well then I don't know, be a politician or something. But no, I'm not in it for thanks. And any reward you get is an honest reward. It's not fake. It's not, oh, if I'm nice to that person, then they'll tell me what's going on. So I don't know, I just think it's more honest. And I certainly know when I was in the hospital system, there was only two areas that terrified people. One was intensive care, because of all the machines, and you didn't know what you're doing. The other one was in psychogeriatrics, because the patients didn't behave themselves, and the patients weren't thankful, and the patients weren't subservient and did as they were told. If you go to any ward, you can say, oh, hello, take off your clothes, close the screens, I want you to do this. No, oh, okay, they're very compliant. If you go to psychogeriatrics, take off your clothes. So any reward you get is honest. I think the relationship is very honest. I don't think it's dishonest elsewhere. I just think for me, I like the honesty of it. So if I'm able to engage with a resident, then it means I'm doing it right. If the resident don't like me, well, then not doing it right, am I?
You try another way.
Well, if I try another way, if that doesn't work, I'll get someone else to try. Maybe they're better at it than me.
You said about yourself and HammondCare that HammondCare tolerates me. What is it about HammondCare that enables it to tolerate you?
Look, Hammond is real serious about trying to care for people, right? And care for people, care for disadvantaged people. So their philosophy and sort of my philosophy are aligned. I didn't have to sort of fit in with Hammond because it's the same. Try and look after the underdog, which is what Hammond's doing, because the ultimate goal is to look after that person and try and provide them with a bit of comfort, a bit of dignity, try and do something. Dementia is a progressive disease, it's a fatal disease. We haven't got that long with this person. Why don't we try and be nice to them, do as much as we can for them, give them some degree of comfort, some degree of something, rather than just treat them as a behaviour. I mean, if you just looked at that guy, then, oh my goodness, he's taking his clothes off, oh, terrible, we'll have to do something, and all the rest of it. But rather than seeing the problem, let's look at the person and see if we can do something.
So that's your professional life, but it's also become personal with your mum. Tell us her story briefly.
Oh look, Mum lived by herself in a nice old home in Chatswood with this monstrous Alsatian dog, which she just loves. Mum was progressively getting more and more dementia. The family couldn't really see it, but because I'm a healthcare professional and I work with it, I could see it. If you ask the right questions, you can see it and all the rest of it. Look, Mum was just deteriorating. I had lots of services in and they were fabulous, but it was just failing. And then we were coming on towards winter, and I thought, I just can't stand to see my mother in that big old house with the door open. She'd left the door open because the dog needed to come in and out. Living in a bedroom 23 and a half hours a day. I'd buy her a new electric blanket each year and put it on too and leave it on all winter because it was a big old cold house and she didn't know what to do and all the rest of it. I just looked at her and her hair was matted, and embarrassingly I found it difficult to kiss me mum hello and goodbye because she was not that well cared for. And I looked at it, tried to look at it dispassionately and said, look, I think she's been neglected. So it was difficult for the family because they wanted mum in her own home and don't put her in a home. Mum always said never put him in. All that guilt and all the rest of it. But you've got to push past that and sort of say, what's best for the person, not what's best for the family, right? And so luckily enough, I was able to fluke a bed here at Hammond. And I tell you what, from not day one, but from day two onwards, what a difference. You'd go and visit mum, cognitively she was a fraction improved. Why? Because she was mixing with other people. The nurses would go in, the staff would go in, hello Diana, so she recognised who she was. Let's have a shower this morning. So I told her what she was doing, orientated at time and place. Oh look, it's not a shower day, what about if we just change our clothes? Here, I'll help you put on your top. All those things which, when you look at it, seems natural, but it's actually planned, it's programmed. It gave Mum some degree of purpose, it gave her routine, it gave her structure.
And she's not alone.
Oh yeah, look, and you'd go and visit Mum, she'd be sitting there in front of the TV, I don't know how much she watched, but it was a social communal thing when you look around, other people are sitting there watching the TV. And I could kiss me Mum, hello and goodbye, because she wasn't neglected. Her hair wasn't matted. They dyed and coloured her hair, and she put on so much weight, she couldn't fit into her pants. And the staff rang me up and said, what are we going to do? And I said, buy bigger pants.
Not a wetsuit.
No, buy bigger pants. I mean, it's just wonderful to see. I mean, I'd come in and visit with my daughters, and Mum would say, oh, they're nice, who are they? I'd say, oh, they're just friends, Mum, you know. Why confront her with something she'd forgotten? And it's actually a very nice visit. Mum was having a good life. I'd lost that guilt that, you know, my mum's been neglected and all the rest of it. And the family eventually came round to seeing that actually Mum was having a much better life.
John, two final questions I always ask people in the profile series. What gets you out of bed in the morning to get to work?
The opportunity to care for people. I didn't realise, but seemingly it's a bit of an expertise or whatever it is to care for people, because I worry about my residents. I worry about them, and so I want to see if they're doing all right. The staff do a fabulous job, so they need support. My bosses tolerate me, the organisation tolerates me.
Amazing.
Amazing, I know. Look, it's a great job, it's a fabulous job, it's a fabulous place. People want to help the underdog. So we're all on the same side. We're all on the same side. So what gets me out of bed in the morning? Come to work and do a good job, look after people.
Final question, what floats your boat outside of work?
Look, a variety of experience. I'm busy renovating. My dad's got an old shack in the Hunter Valley, an original bark slab hut. Yeah, it's bark, not because it's bark, because it's the shortened term of iron bark, you know, so this wide, this thick. Can't drill through it, starts to smoke when you drill through it. So doing that, my dad's 90, 92 and needs a bit of care, so I'd look after him. I've got some young daughters. Look, just a whole variety of things. I don't know, I don't really plan much of my life, and like I was saying to you before with the F word, look, most of my life's a fluke, right? I've just fluked a good job. I happen to work in a place doing stuff which I find interesting and entertaining and enjoyable, and they pay me for it. So I mean, you know, it doesn't get much better, does it? Doing something you like and being paid for it doesn't make it a job. It's not a hobby, but it just makes it good.
It's made a difference in countless numbers of people's lives, I'm sure, John Nadjarian. And
yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us
welcome.
on the Profile Series.